today we're going to be talking about the 10 things which I think they'll be important to know before even like what you're thinking. Like these are the common questions that you guys ask about the Kariakoo market. So without further ado, let's just get started. And as you can see, we're going to be talking about the 10 things. The first one, we're going to deal with how to get there, the safety, how to allocate things to know before going, the places that you can park your cars, why should you go there, and the disadvantages of going there, what is it famous for, the apartments, and I'll give you my conclusion about the Kariakoo market itself. So without further ado, let's jump inside the video. How to get there. So going to Kariakoo is quite easy depending on the location that you are. For most of the people that I would see, they'll be like from the city center, that is probably maybe Masaki, Mikocheni. Now the bad thing about that is you can't be able to get a motokasi from Masaki somewhere there. The only way to get to Kariakoo, I think the easiest way will be using a boat. Now for those guys who haven't known, Bolt is an app just like an Uber that is used in other countries here in Tanzania. Now why use the Bolt instead of the Uber app? Because the Uber app, it gets a little bit of expensive and the Bolt is quite cheap. And most of the times, even we Tanzanians, we mostly use Bolt because you already know the thing that is the Bolt is quite cheaper than the Uber. So if you're actually new in Tanzania, be sure to get the Bolt app. If you have known the apps that are actually essential when coming to Tanzania, be sure to check my video. I did all the apps that you need to have, like the essentials. Most of them, they will be like interchanging within countries. Like Bolt, I'm sure it's also available in other countries. So you literally not need to just do like another registration and stuff. But if in case you didn't have, then that means it's going to be a good time to download that app. And the video is already there for the apps that you need to have in Tanzania. Just go and check the channel, and probably I might keep the link in the description if it's not there. So another thing that you need to know, going to Kariakoo, in case you are from another region, then you'll probably need something like a public transport. Okay, why do I recommend public transport here? I mostly recommend public transport because I know they're cheap, and depending with the time and duration, as I've talked on the video of transportation that I did, you will need to use a boat, or you can use the Mondokasi, that's the BRT buses, or you can use this public transport. It depends on what you really want and the experience that you're looking for. So for those guys who actually don't want any disturbance and just want to go to Kariakoo and see the market itself, like it has a lot of things, it's very congested. If you want to go there in a peaceful way, you don't want any disturbance, you can just use the Bolt. And the Bolt, don't choose a motorcycle because the motorcycle kind of getting risky of you getting an accident. I would really advise you to use something like a tuk-tuk in Kenya they call it, or something like a taxi. But I think if you're okay with the tuk-tuk, it's gonna be better than choosing a motorcycle. But motorcycles get really cheap, and that's good. Yeah, I think that's how you can get there. And in case if you're actually like, I don't know if you'll be from Zanzibar, because I think it's gonna be the same route. If you're from Kigamboni, it's gonna be the same route. You just have to take what they call the Pantoni. That's the ship they use to drive us from the Kigamboni to this side. So it depends on wherever place you are, but it's gonna be possible from whatever place you are, and it's gonna be able to, like the transportation you're gonna choose, it's gonna be able to transport you from the place that you are into Kariakoo market. So when you talk about safety, the safety in Kariakoo first, you all know what it goes down to. So in any country, if you're not careful with your properties, you can kind of get, like, you can lose them. So the first thing I would say, it is safe for people to go there, but for those guys who are actually like me, who are looking forward to showing their camera on their faces to record themselves, I don't think it's gonna be a good idea, because you get attention, and that's not a good thing that you really want to a place like that. But in case if you're actually not alone, if you're two, you can do that. And I have even tried myself to do it, and though sometimes it's not really, people don't really appreciate the way you take those videos, so you need to be careful with that. But about people who are actually just going there to buy stuff and just get things for themselves, it's gonna be a good idea if you go to. But if you're actually on your own, it's okay, as long as you can communicate a little bit of an English and Swahili. It's gonna be a good idea. But if you haven't known in Swahili, don't worry too, because I have you covered. Because there's a video I did on the main, like there's these phases that you could like start with in before coming to Tanzania, so they're gonna cover you. Now for the safety, it's super safe to Kariakoo even if it's at night, but At night, don't pass it through around 12, because from 12 until the midnight, it's not kind of good thing to do that, because most of people are closing their shops there. So I don't want to promote things that are not good. So I would advise you probably at around in the evening, around 5, if around 12, around 6, around 6, you'll be done with your stuff, and then going back, because I don't expect you to go Kariakoo in night time or passing there at night time. The best time to go to Kariakoo would be around from 11 in the morning to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So those are the times when you could like go there and find the shops that are open, because if you go too early in the morning, the shops will be closed. So I think you gotta be aware of that. And the other thing that you should know is the safety with Kariakoo. It's super safe, so don't worry. We Tanzanians are very friendly, so you're warmly welcome. And I'm not saying this because I'm Tanzanian, no, I'm saying because this is the truth. And if it's about a bad thing, I'll tell you straightforward, because I don't hide anything. Yep, I think that's how we can say about the safety, so you're welcome. So on allocating things, if you want to really buy things, now depends on what you want to buy, because in Kariakoo market, it's kind of divided. Most of the times you will go to this, they call it what's the name of that again? Most of the times you'll go to their Grey Street. If you ask for their Grey Street, they'll show you. That's where you can find cheap phones. Like if you want to buy a phone, you should go to their Grey Street. If you want electronics, go to a Grey Street. That's when you're gonna get like a lot of like the ones that are sold in wholesale. So one of the things that you should be aware is, if you want to go to Kariakoo and you want to go and buy something, please go and buy something where you get in a wholesale price, because even those who are selling in a wholesale price, they would literally give you in a single thing. Like if you're, for instance, going to buy something of maybe like $2, okay, let's say like $5 maybe in a normal shop, but then if you would have gone to a wholesale shop, you'd have gotten it for $3. You've saved $2. Probably, maybe to you it doesn't look much on $2, but if you take $2 times 10, if you've saved on 10 things, that means you've saved $20. Now, the $20 you could be able to pay for a hotel or something like that, because $20 in Tanzania, it's very much like it's kind of money that you can spend on. Now, that's how you allocate things. I know you'll be literally thinking maybe I could allocate you specifically to some shops. I would wish to do that, but different shops will get different prices, and depending on what you really want. If you really want me to do a specific video on the best shop that I would recommend you to make sure that you go and get, if it's something, just let me know down in the comment section if you really want to know the specific shop that I really wish to always go and buy stuff, like the shops that I personally would recommend you to go and buy stuff. And I'm not saying that the other shops are not good, but they're good, but their prices could get kind of expensive. And I'm not collaborating with the shops that I will show you. These are the shops that I will personally go and do that. So if you're interested in another video, I can do that if you only recommend me to do that. And that's how we allocate things. Apart from that, just go and move and ask for the prices, and the best way is just go and ask for the prices until when the person who is selling that cloth doesn't want you to buy it anymore because your price is too low. Then that's when you understand that the price that you're giving is conveniently for that money that you're paying. So things to know before going to Kariakoo, there's only one thing you have to understand. Like when you go to Kariakoo, be open-minded, because some of the things that you'll hear or you'll see in Kariakoo might not be like specifically being promoted from your religion or anything like in your culture. So be kind of open-minded when you visit Kariakoo. I think this is mostly in all the places. If you try to go, just be open-minded, because you're here to visit and see and explore. So probably kind of be open-minded, and so as you may be able to experience everything. So when it comes to parking, this is really something that you need to be aware of, because if you kind of park on a wrong place in a wrong time, you will be fined for almost 50,000 Tanzania shillings, which is equivalent to almost around let me calculate it here. Okay, it's almost around $20, 0.8 if not 0.1. So it depends on the time. But if you actually come with a car in Kariakoo, you will see that the cars are very congested in most of the places. So you cannot be aware and you be careful with the place that you park. In case if you park on the wrong place, you are gonna get fined. And the best way is not to come with a car in Kariakoo, unless otherwise you really have those things that are so many that you have to pack them from the shops to the car. But if you actually have so much, like if you have less things to carry, please don't come with the car, because it's gonna get ugly when you reach here. The best advice I'll give you: don't come with the car. The parkings are available, but there are no parkings whereby that are specifically for parking. You just have to find your own place and just park. Those that you find, most of them, they're in front of the shops, and they're owned by the people actually owning the shop. So if you want to come with the car, just go straight to the place that you want. So that is, you're going to the bank, and the bank is kind of far away from the central part of the Kariakoo. So I think the best advice: don't come with the car, just unless it's a specific thing that you have to do. And if you come with the car, just come here and then find a shop on the place, just a nearby one, then park, then you get your things inside the car. Now, if I was going to speak about the things, then the reason why you should come and shop in Kariakoo, I would have spoken for like 1 hour already. Now, one of the big reasons for you to come and shop in Kariakoo is cheap, like the cheap price that you'd get. Like the cheap price that I mean is probably depends with the person who's buying it, because some of the things, they literally make no sense for you to go and buy them in Kariakoo, and you just buy them wherever you are nearby, because the difference in prices that you are going to buy them for, it's going to be less convenience for you to come and just buy them in Kariakoo. My advice is just go and buy them wherever you are. Now, there are things that are probably very expensive, especially electronics. I would advise you to come and get them in Kariakoo, unless otherwise it's just a small electronic. But with the electronics, I think big or small, it's just better to come and get in Kariakoo because it's less cheaper. Now, if you're actually planning to buy these clothes and stuff, if you are really planning to buy in wholesale, which actually foreigners don't think they do that so many times, they don't. Foreigners mostly, they would bring materials here in Tanzania. And if they go to Kariakoo, they would literally go to just experience, so they would buy maybe 1 or 2 shirts. But if you're actually in Tanzania listening to this, probably you can go and get things like those in wholesale. But if you're actually not going for the wholesale stuff, I think you just get it from the place that you're living. So one of the disadvantages of going to Kariakoo is the way people get congested. Of course, everyone is looking forward to get something, to buy something, to sell something, but the way it gets congested and the way the shops are arranged, they really don't make sense to me. If the government could do one favor of arranging the shops in a way that maybe we all know that in this place, that's where they sell maybe spare parts of the car, the vehicles, and then here it's only electronics, here it's only gaming, here it's only like something like that. I think that would be a good favor to us, so to everyone actually, not only foreigners or Tanzanian, to everyone who's going to come to use the Kariakoo market to buy things. And it's going to be better for the people actually selling the stuff, though we know that the buildings are old and stuff. So really, I don't really understand, but actually that could be a good advantage of us who are actually going to buy things in Kariakoo. But till then, we know that one of the disadvantages is the disorganization of the shops and the way the cleanness sometimes it gets when it rains. So when it rains, the places that you can go and stay aside, there are few, so probably people around, maybe let's say there are many. So if the people are many and the places are few, that means you can't get a place to maybe cover yourself when it's raining, and the environment kind of gets ugly when it's raining. I think the people who are actually concerned could do something about it and could make it a better place. So Kariakoo is very famous for it being an oldest market in Tanzania. Now, it was not really as in a place whereby people could go and fetch stuff in the beginning. It used to be a place where people would just go and stay, and the old buildings used to be with the people who actually used to live in the old days. But nowadays, since it's advanced, then it has turned into the greatest market, since people have been moving in and moving, and since the SM is growing big as per now, so things have changed, and now people are actually going to sell stuff. Now, it's famous for its fact that it has a lot of cheap stuff, but you need to be careful because some of the cheap stuff, the thing I explained about buying and selling of the cheap stuff, like it's not about the people who are actually selling them, it's about the people who are buying. So the people who are buying who are looking for the cheap stuff are the ones who making the sellers go and get the cheap stuff than the cheap stuff having a bad thing. I don't know if that can kind of make sense, but the thing is, the cheap stuff is not always good, so you gotta be careful whenever you're there. But what is it famous for? It is famous for it being the most famous market and the place that you can buy cheap things in Tanzania. So let's talk about apartments. Now, when you talk about apartments, the apartments in Kariakoo, they are super expensive. Get it? The apartments in Kariakoo, they are very, very expensive. I have an idea of doing a video about apartments and showing you how much they sell, how much they do have a booking for apartments in Kariakoo. So if you're interested, let me know so as I could do that video. But apartment in Kariakoo, they're super expensive, very expensive. I had a friend who actually stayed in Kariakoo apartments. So you will literally be paying for a very simple apartment with a single room and a toilet for almost around 600,000 Tanzanian shillings, which equivalents to almost $250 US. Now that is very expensive. So for a $250 US, that's a whole house when you're actually going away from Kariakoo. So if you really are interested in staying in Kariakoo, unless otherwise you're a business person, most of the people actually stay in Kariakoo, they are those Indians who actually have their shops downstairs. But rarely you would find people actually get to Tanzanians having their shop, like Tanzanians living in Kariakoo, rarely. Most of them, they're Hindis, and you'll find them there. So if you're interested in staying in Kariakoo, I would advise you not to. You just have to find an apartment beside. And if you don't know how to get an apartment in Dar es Salaam, be sure to check my video that I did on how to get an apartment. It's getting a lot of views, by the way. So just go and check that out. And I'm really appreciating those people actually checking all the videos that I did. So that's how you should get an apartment in Kariakoo. But if you actually want to get a real apartment, just let me know. I can help you out. And yeah. So when you talk about my thoughts about this place, Kariakoo, I'm a big fan of going to Kariakoo, to be honest. And I usually go to Kariakoo so many times, and I am always going to Kariakoo to buy stuff. The only reason why I would first go to Kariakoo if there is something that I can't buy online, especially if it's an application from China, because most of my stuff I buy from the applications in China, and the things will be sent here in Tanzania. Then if not, probably that is something that I really need as an emergency, I really need it, then I will buy it in Kariakoo. And it's very expensive if I would buy it in the place that I am. That is, the place that I am is almost 27 kilometers if you have known from the main center, if not 30 kilometers. It's quite far away. It's in the village kind of style. So if you're known, go check that video that I did about food in Tanzania. I did that, and another video I showed you the place that I live. So that's like the main reason why I would go to Kariakoo to buy stuff. But the other reason that would make me go to Kariakoo and buy stuff, if probably maybe it's an electronic that I really need and it's essential. And apart from that, why would I go with a car to Kariakoo? That's another thing. The only reason that I would go with a car in Kariakoo, it's only maybe if I have something very heavy, or maybe something that is huge I have to carry. And if it's too heavy to fit in the car too, I don't really go with the car at the same time. So the only reason why I would go with the car in Kariakoo, maybe I'm actually going to buy something that is from the car, and I really need to get the car itself there, and it has to be checked. Although I don't really check so many times my car in Kariakoo, most of the times is maybe if there is something that I have to buy, and that something is in Kariakoo, and it's big enough to enter in the car, and I can't carry it on my own, and I cannot carry it going to Mwendo Kasi, and to have to I'll have to maybe look for a taxi so as I would get it back home. Those are the only reasons that I would go with the car in Kariakoo. So if you have no major reasons of going to Kariakoo with the car, please don't go with the car in Kariakoo. I thank you guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and it was very informative. If you have any questions about Kariakoo, just let me know. Maybe I could involve your questions on my next video of Kariakoo. And thank you so much. Until then, hit the subscribe button and watch my other videos about Tanzania. And if you're interested to come to Tanzania, just let me know. I can figure it out and how I can help you. And see you next time.